What an alien told me about Odin. Words are power. So as you know, in June of 2022, I decided to do CE5 protocols, which is human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials. I committed myself. I said, I'm going to figure out if this is real, and if it is, I'm going to take it as far as it can go, even if it kills me. And I was successful. I was very successful. I've been in contact with higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings from that time until this moment I'm speaking to you right now. So I want to share with you what was told to me by a very powerful higher dimensional extraterrestrial being, which has everything to do about the truth of Odin and the power of words. So what happened, as you know, is that at that time I was being visited on a daily basis by extraterrestrials, and they would come to me as well as take me in my astral body to other dimensions and other places, communicate with other beings, with deities, with higher dimensional, interdimensional beings. And at one of these meditations, I had gone astrally to a plane and was communicating with a being that was brought to me. I had been brought to a certain place by a light being, and they said, somebody wants to speak with you. And this small being, couldn't have been more than, I don't know, but looked like 3 or 4 feet tall, very small. But this being had a lot of power and a lot of wisdom. You could feel that. You could just feel that in his presence. And I can't remember what we spoke about, but I did in that interaction as I've learned to do, which is when it feels like the conversation is over or the information has been given to me or the energy has been given to me, I will then say, is there anything else that you'd like to tell me? This is something that I teach, by the way, in the Galactic Contact 10-step practical video course, learning how to communicate with and channel higher dimensional beings. You can find that at contact.thunderwizard.com. So I said this to him after I had been given the power and the knowledge that he was sharing with me, and I said, is there anything else that you would like to say to me? And this is what he said. What you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what is true. Now, at that last part when he said what is true, on top of that, he also said, and what you mean is your truth. So that was like two, in the astral you can do that, but he was saying 2 things at once. What you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what is true, and what you mean is your truth. Now this being knew that I would know what that meant. And so we have to talk about what is truth. So truth is committing one's life energy to fulfilling a promise. For example, by my troth, I shall die before letting anyone breach this gate. The word betrothal. We still hear this word being used in British royal weddings, where they will say, I give you my troth. So troth and truth. Truth now means something different. Truth means actual physical truth. Like it is true that 1 + 1 = 2. It's a fact. It's outside of you. But your truth comes from within you. And it is you. It is your life force energy. So I remember learning a long time ago, people, way back in the 80s and 90s in the New Age community, they would say that, Native Americans didn't have a word for lying. And the idea was that because of their purity of the way that they lived, their spiritual practice, they would never speak anything that they knew to be untrue, because their breath would be connected to the words they were speaking. And so to knowingly lie was suicidal, because if you knowingly said something that you knew was untrue, it would mean that you were committing suicide. You were ending yourself. And as it turns out, our Northern European ancestors had the same belief. This wasn't unique to Native Americans. It was something that everybody originally believed, and it was something that was part of the English language, well, up until today. We can still use that word today, and some people actually know what it means. So when we listen to what this being had to say, what you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what is your truth. Meaning it, and also what is true, what is physically manifested true, and what is your truth. And he was explaining to me that words are power. And it is an illusion that we live in a world where our words mean nothing, where people can lie, we can say half-truths, we can give white lies. One of the first things that happened when I started interacting with these higher dimensional beings is I made a commitment to myself that I was never going to lie again. Not that I lied before, but I was never going to give half-truths or white lies or say something, to save somebody's ego. I'll say something that I knew wasn't true so that they don't get their feelings hurt. I would always tell the truth to the best of my ability. I would, no matter what, I would tell the truth, because I wanted to stay connected to this power that I was experiencing. And so what this being was telling me was that you can't walk around and say negative things. I'm not talking about New Age, just live in love and light and don't think about anything negative. If anybody knows me, I don't teach that. You should have all of your feelings, positive and negative. You have to own them. But there's a difference between having a feeling and speaking a truth. So if somebody asks, and you're in a horrible place and you're worried about the world falling apart, somebody says, what's going on with you? You could be truthful and say, I'm having this feeling. It feels to me as if. Now, that's true. You're not speaking anything into existence. But if somebody says, how are you doing? And you say, the world is, and you fill in the blank with something horrible. You've now spoken that into reality. About your own life. If somebody were to ask me right now, if somebody were to say, how are you feeling about your finances? I would say, well, I'm having some doubts, and it feels as if. Now, if I say that, and I say something negative behind it, I'm not going to create that. I'm just talking about how I feel. I have to own my feelings. I have to know what I'm thinking and feeling at any moment, so that I'm not lying to myself. But if what I want is to bring in more finances, then what I say is, I am the most prosperous person that I know. I always have more resources and finances that I will ever need. Doesn't mean I feel that, but I am speaking something into existence. I am using my truth. I am knowingly speaking something that will come into external reality, and I am backing it up with my life. I'm putting my life behind it, and I'm doing it consciously. You walk around saying something negative, you throw negative things out as you speak. You don't realize that your life force is going into that. So never speak something as a fact if you don't want it to be true. What does this have to do with Odin? Great question. So in the link below, I made a video about Odin and Odin's awakening and how everybody gets that all wrong. So go click on that link. Odin's sacrifice on the Tree of Life is completely misunderstood. After Odin's death on the Tree of Life, he hung on the tree 9 nights. Nobody gave him anything to drink or to eat. And screaming, he took up the runes. Right? Right after that, this is what is said. Verse 139, right after Odin's self-awakening. 9 mighty songs I learned from the great son of Balethorn, Bestla's sire. I drank a measure of the wondrous mead. With the soul stirs drops I was showered. Before long I bear fruit, and I throve full well. I grew and waxed in wisdom, word following word. I found me words. Deed following deed, I wrought deeds. Those last 2 sentences, take a look at that. What does that say? What it says is that words create actions. This is extremely important. We right now, for the past 2,000 years, have been taught that belief is what gives you spirituality. People still have that assumption. They carry it around. This was one of the greatest psyops of monotheist religion, which, by the way, monotheist religion was a creation. It was a creation of the elites to control people. It started with the Israelites, who, by the way, were polytheists, right up until very, very recently, much more recently than people think. It wasn't until the elites were taken off in chains to Babylon because they refused to pay tribute to the Babylonians. And when they came back, when they were released after 70 years, they came back with a new religion, where there was a one God, and you had to believe in that one God. Now, for them, it was a way of consolidating power in a kingdom that was coming apart. A very small kingdom that was surrounded by other people and was coming apart. So there was a strategy to it. But it worked so well because the Jews were impossible for the Romans to control. And they saw this and they went, what is it that makes them so impossible to control? And they realized that they had this belief in one all-powerful deity. The Romans took it one step further. They brought in and they created a false Messiah. By the way, the man Jesus of Nazareth never existed. And there's one proof I have for that. It's very simple. The town of Nazareth had not been founded until 200 years after Jesus' supposed death. It was written at that time. When Nazareth was a real place, people wrote this false history, and not being historians themselves, they didn't realize that the Jesus they said existed at that time couldn't have come from Nazareth. This was the perfect psyop, because all that was required of you was to believe, an intellectual, just to intellectually believe, even if you knew it wasn't true. And then to speak, you had to speak it. You had to commit your life and you had to speak the truth. You had to confess with your mouth that Jesus was Lord and died on the cross. Your words, they had gotten a hold of your truth. They had gotten a hold of your ability to create a false reality in the hopes of being saved. Also got another video. There are 2 choices. You can either be free or you can feel safe. Those are your only two options in this third dimension. And so they were teaching people to do the second, which was to feel safe, but not be free. By the way, feeling safe doesn't mean you are safe. It means that you feel safe. And people do this now. The PSYOP is still going. You want to destroy the power of the elites over your mind. You want to win this war. There is a war, a battle going on for your mind. Watch what's happening with AI. Look what's happening to people who are becoming addicted to ChatGPT and having ChatGPT psychosis. Why do you think this is happening? They are having emotional, spiritual connections to something that has no consciousness and doesn't exist. So what this being was telling me was probably one of the most powerful things, if not the most powerful thing anybody's ever told me. What you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what is your truth. Your truth, committing one's life energy to fulfilling a promise and making it physically real. So, there's my suggestion for today. Thank you to everybody who is a patron of this channel. As you've seen, I do have a video course, Galactic Contact, 10-step practical video course, learn how to communicate with and channel higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings. This isn't nothing. The knowledge that these beings have, because they're from a higher dimension, will completely transform you on every level, if you can handle it. Most people can't handle it. Can you handle it? If you want to get that, you can go to contact.thunderwizard.com. Every Saturday, which is tomorrow, we do live guided CE5 meditations. These are free, live streamed on this channel every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't make it, go to the live section. You will see all of them that's been recorded and archived, and you can listen to them and participate in those meditations. And we communicate directly with those beings of light. I do channeled sessions where I channel these light beings directly to you. They will tell you specifically what you need to know, and what they focus on is bringing you the knowledge of your higher dimensional self. When you connect to your higher dimensional self, your third dimensional self will explode. You will no longer be trapped by the third dimension if you can handle it. We also have a channeled Zoom group, which I'm going to keep a tight rein on, but if you're interested in that, let me know. And we can work out whether or not this is a good group for you. Go to thunderwizard.com. You can subscribe to that there. In these groups, what ends up happening is light beings come, and the goal that I originally had was to share with everybody the messages that we're getting, to see if we can interpret them and understand them. But what starts happening is that we start channeling to each other. And it is incredibly powerful. So if you want to check that out, go to the subscribe at thunderwizard.com. I've also got the Thulian Starseed Ascension Astrology, thulian.thunderwizard.com. And here I get direct higher dimensional beings channeling energy and knowledge about your soul path light codes in this life. Go to thulian.thunderwizard.com if you're interested in that. Okay, so we've got all kinds of other stuff on this channel. The links are here. Check out all of the links. I'll let you check them out yourself. If you want to go here, here's how you navigate the thunderwizard.com site. Is you see the menu there on the bottom. You can see membership. You click on membership, and that's where you find all the ways that you can subscribe. Those are just two of them. There are many more. And if you go to the thunderwizard.com page and you see shop, and you click on shop, you will see all of the video courses and very inexpensive, very powerful Qigong and energy practices, which, by the way, Awakening the Immortals. I'm here to tell you, I have heard this over and over and over again. If you do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong practice, light beings show up, ETs show up. Don't believe me? Go get like a walkie-talkie or one of those handheld radios, ham radios. Just turn it on, not too loud, otherwise you'll freak yourself out. Just turn it on a little bit and just let it sit there. I challenge you to do this. Do the Awakening the Immortals, and you'll hear that radio start to go. That's impossible. It means that ETs have been drawn to you, like you've sent out the bat signal. They've been drawn to you, and they will let you know that they are there, that they're watching you, that they're connected with you. Okay, that's it for now, my friends. I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves. I will see you all tomorrow night. Thank you once again. See you soon. Oh.